Hey there! Welcome to my channel, Debarra TV. I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we'll discuss the insights of the International Safety Guide for Oil Tankers and Terminals, ISGOTT. Let's get started. What is ISGOTT? ISGOTT was first published in 1978 and combined the contents of the Tanker Safety Guide, Petroleum, published by the International Chamber of Shipping, ICS, and the International Oil Tanker and Terminal Safety Guide by the Oil Companies International Marine Forum, OCIMF. The guide provides operational advice to assist personnel involved in tanker and terminal operations directly. It includes guidance and examples of certain aspects of tanker and terminal operations and how they may be managed. It is a general industry recommendation that a copy of ISGOTT is kept and used on board every tanker and in every terminal so that there is a consistent approach to operational procedures and shared responsibilities for operations at the ship-shore interface. OCIMF, ICS, and the International Association of Ports and Harbors revised and updated the International Safety Guide for Oil Tankers and Terminals, ISGOTT 6. What's new? New significantly reappraised topics include the enclosed space entry, human factors, safety management systems, SMSs, include complementary tools linked to the underlying principles of the International Safety Management, ISM, Code, Marine Terminal Administration, and the critical importance of the tanker/terminal interface. Alternative and emerging technologies. Bunkering operations include using alternative fuels such as liquefied natural gas, LNG. Cargo inspectors. Alignment with OCIMF's recently revised mooring equipment guidelines. Maritime security and linkage to the International Ship and Port Facility Security, ISPS, Code and the industry's Maritime Security Best Management Practices, BMP. The ship, shore safety, and bunkering operations checklists have also been completely revised to reflect changes in understanding human factors' impact on their practical use. This objective is to make sure that individual and joint responsibilities for the tanker and the terminal are communicated before arrival and when alongside. Why has ISGOTT been revised? ISGOTT 5 was published in 2006. And there have been many changes to legislation and standards. Enhancements to operational best practices have continued to evolve, particularly around robust safety management systems, enclosed space entry, hot work, and the ship-shore interface. Guidance on new, topical, and critical issues in today's industry, including discussion of human factors and alternative and emerging technologies, was also needed. What are the significant changes you will find in ISGOTT 6th edition? The significant changes you will find in ISGOTT 6 fall into three broad categories. Inclusion of new guidance on issues such as marine terminal administration, including use of the OCIMF Marine Terminal Information System, MTS, human factors, alternative and emerging technologies and cargo inspectors, amendments and updates due to changes in legislation and standards, e.g., revised standards for construction, maintenance, and retirement of cargo transfer hoses, upgrades and enhancements to existing best practice guidance, including the management of hazards and risks for tanker and terminal operations, enclosed space entry, firefighting, security, and the ship/shore marine terminal interface, which includes updates to the ship-shore safety checklist and the bunker operations safety checklist. What changes have occurred in the hot work chapter? A significant review of the hot work sections was undertaken. Following changes to Chapter 4, the sections were realigned, and a detailed discussion on safety management and permits was moved across. What changes have occurred in the enclosed space entry chapter? Best practice guidance on enclosed space entry has been retained in Chapter 10 and cross-referenced to Shipboard Safety Management System procedural references. It has been significantly updated to re-emphasize the absolute requirement to maintain control around all operations involving entry into an enclosed space and adhere closely to best practices. The chapter highlights the risks of not following procedures and managing safety principles, e.g. the risk assessment and use of entry permits. Why has the ship shore safety checklist changed significantly? Safe transfer operations depend on good communication between the terminal and tanker from pre-arrival to post-departure, and on complying with agreed safe procedures at all stages. The revised Ship Shore Safety Checklist aims to initiate communication before the vessel's arrival interface at the terminal to address any identified issues before a problem arises. Communication continues from when the ship arrives at the berth to completing cargo operations until the vessel's departure. The revised checklist uses a positive affirmation approach, where applicable aspects of the operation are mentioned. This approach refers back to ISGOTT 6 references and differentiates areas of responsibility between the vessel and terminal. Pre-arrival checks in the Ship Shore Safety Checklist establish an information exchange between the ship and terminal. But what if one of these parties does not undertake this step? Suppose either party refuses to undertake any Ship Shore Safety Checklist items. In that case, the terminal or tanker operator should review the reason for not following the requirement with the other party. Chapter 25 provides guidance on what steps should be taken to achieve agreement on how to proceed, including, where necessary, stopping operations. ISGOTT 6 is primarily focused on oil tankers and the terminals they visit. However, many core principles and processes established to manage the associated safety activities have parallels on board all ships. These will include topics such as the safety requirements for enclosed space entry, including entry into ballast tanks or void spaces, hot work onboard ships, particularly in or around spaces that may have contained explosive atmospheres such as bunker tanks, the management of security risks, introduction of alternative and emerging technologies, and human factors. ISGOTT is primarily targeted towards oil tankers and the terminals they visit. The safety management principles and processes in many safety-critical topics, such as enclosed space entry, can be applied to all ship types. Our collective objective in publishing this edition of ISGOTT is that it can positively benefit shipboard operations on all ship types and contribute to saving lives at sea. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. See you next time.